Arch Manning wins the game versus Georgia. Red shirt or transfer. I hit Khalil
Red
with a
shirt.
haymaker.
Red shirt. The way that Texas offensive line was that game, you needed somebody mobile. Like Quinn Ewers just wasn't getting it done. This was what, his second game back from injury?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I feel like Arch had the hot hand going through. I feel like you need to wait a bit more for Quinn Ewers. He still looked hurt. I just think the playmaking ability of Arch and just the ability to be mobile would have helped extend some plays. Whether or not they win the game, I truly think they had the better chance if they just kept Arch, or if they just rolled with Arch, because the defense early on, they were able to create turnovers, they were able to create opportunities, and Quinn Ewers in the offense just couldn't capitalize on that.
Yeah.
This is really, first of all, a good question, because I'm really am struggling with it. I'm going to transfer though. The primary problems I saw with the offense, when it pertains to the quarterback, right? Because that was where a lot of it started. Was not only was the offensive line a little bit lackluster at times, right? But a lot of this multiple sacks and the pressures were not generated because of a breakdown along the offensive line, but it was because Quinn Ewers didn't have the pocket awareness to step up in the pocket, and he would keep drifting back, right? Which, as an offensive tackle, you want to form a natural pocket, and if if the edge defender is going to keep on going outside, you're going to kind of let him ride himself out of the play. Right? Knowing that your quarterback is going to step up into a perfectly clean pocket while you wash out the edge defender. The thing is, Ewers never stepped up in the pocket. So the defensive ends were constantly getting washed into Quinn Ewers, right? Which is completely on the quarterback. The reason, though, why I say no is because Arch Manning this season, right? He hasn't been pressured much at all, right? Because Texas has had a very good offensive line, but his pressure to sack percentage, right, is very, very high. It's almost 30%. So almost a third of the times he's getting pressured, he's getting sacked. That is incredibly high. So while I agree that Arch Manning has shown, he had that 60-something yard touchdown run against, I think ULM or something, right, on a read option. He definitely has more natural mobility, but his pocket presence, especially when pressured, it hasn't been great this season. That's still an area he has to grow. Even when he did play, right, he had some misfires. He was still getting pressured. He got sacked. The offense really didn't look that great, even when Arch was in, even though it was only 1.5 or 2 drives. And Quinn did play better in the second half. I would say transfer. I think that it was a good move in hindsight, right? To bench Quinn Ewers like Sarkisian did, give him a chance to regroup, right, into halftime, and then let him go out there and play the second half. I think that was the right move. And I know that, again, he still struggled with some things in terms of his pocket presence, but I don't think that Manning would have been much better. Even if he offers more mobility, his pocket presence still is less than desirable at this point in time.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go red shirt here. I think he wins them the game. For the simple fact, it's almost the opposite of what you're saying. I think you just needed something different. You needed something. You needed something new. You needed to have somebody else that's under command. I mean, I don't know how much of Quinn's injury is really still lingering on,
right,
as well, which we'll never know. Right, that's the type of stuff that's going to get kept behind closed doors for a long time. but also a guy that's won you games up to this point. To me, this would have been the ultimate decision maker, not only for Quinn, but for Arch as well. This reminds me of what Georgia had to deal with JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett a couple years ago. And Kirby made the decision to keep with the hot hand with Stetson Bennett. And JT Daniels never saw the light of day, even though I think he would have won him a national championship as well. I mean, that team was stacked. But I think right now this would have been the ultimate factor for Steve Sarkisian to know what he really has for his future. If Arch Manning comes out winning a close game that they were behind against Georgia, Quinn Ewers would have never started another game this season unless something would have happened to Arch, which is a great problem to have, but it's also great in the fact for Quinn too. Like, dude, we heard the rumors this week. Nobody knows if they're true, but Quinn, sit this one out for your draft stock now. It's all good. We got what we got. We appreciate your services. We're gonna roll with Arch. And if they would have won this game and ended up winning the national championship after this, I think Steve Sarkisian gets looked at as one of the best coaches that made one of the hardest decisions during the season. That was great for their team moving forward. I mean, of course, losing to CJ Baxter too this season, having to deal with that, like that also sucks. But you've seen guys step up, and that's a great thing for your coaching staff, as well as that you've always had guys that were prepared to take the next level. Look, Jaden Blue had a really good game against his defense as well. Let's not get it twisted. But my thing is even with the mobility issues, after you would see that for a couple series, it'd be like, I'm sorry, Quinn, I don't know what's going on between the white lines today and the offensive line. We got to put Arch in that gives us a little bit mobility, and he's going to handle the pocket a little different. And if you see the same thing, then put Quinn back in there. I mean, these are the snap decisions that you got to make as a coach to go against a team like Georgia. I mean, obviously, number 11 on Georgia was in his face all night long. I mean, and he was making both the tackles that we know are superstars, and they're both going to get drafted very, very high this season. They were having troubles in that first half, a lot. Cleared it up in the second half, and we saw that, Quinn had some ice in his veins on some plays, but really and truly, it was those third downs, those third and longs that really got to him. And I think Arch would have given you, you again, and to Arch's, like, to me, I got to put it like this. To Arch's defense, you're going to put me in a game once our quarterback is rattled, and then you're going to put me in the same situation. Then you're going to take me out at halftime and not put me back in. Not even to get adjusted. You know what I'm saying? Not even to go in there at halftime and be like, all right, I know they're going to be in my face all night. I think a halftime, like, slowdown for Arch, knowing that he's going to come back in the second half, processing in his head would have been a little different by the second half, because he'd be like, all right, I know when number 11 crashes on the right side, I got to step in. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Quinn actually gives you that, but an Arch does. So you never really got to see the game planning for Arch and the wheels turning in his head in the second half like you did for Quinn when he came back in the second time. Like, he had a second chance. Arch never really got a second chance after halftime to carry that offense on. I don't know. I didn't like that decision to just like to tease him, even though you saw the same issues happen to Quinn and just same things happening, even though he came in halfway through the first half. Let's put Quinn back in. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just thought that was a weird decision, but I don't think there's a wrong answer here. I mean, obviously Arch didn't play or win the game. That's why it's a good question to sit here and speculate on.